Well, joining me now at the Autumn Momentous event is Kiran of Cadence Minerals. So your company really looks towards the future. So tell me what you do.
Yeah, so Cadence Minerals is an investment company. We've been investing in for the last 3 or 4 years in lithium. Lithium is the key element to power the electric revolution and how we're going to live going forward. So that's what we've been investing in, and going forward we're actually looking to run our own projects and look to mine and extract lithium, which will power things like electric vehicles, energy storage, and what we commonly know now is things like batteries in your cell phones and such.
So it really is pivotal to all of the things that we'll be using in the future. So you mentioned electric vehicles there. So this is something that people need to invest in, you believe, because it will be so important to our future?
I think the overall sort of thematic view here is that, and I was just at a cathode conference. I know that sounds really boring, but it's a cathode conference in LA. And when you look at the big chemical producers like BASF, their forecasts about what they're going to need in terms of lithium is a sort of sevenfold of what we're producing today. So, it's fivefold of what they're producing today. So there's a huge requirement that's required, but there isn't the investment that is required at the moment to get that production up there. So I think what we've been doing is investing in early stage companies that will get there, and then we've built up an expertise over the last 3 or 4 years, and we're going to utilize that expertise to take the profits out of the companies that we've made and move that forward and invest in our own projects that we believe can deliver excellent returns.
So what kinds of things will lithium replace that we do now that you think will become out of use in the future?
Well, I think some people sort of call me a bit religious about it, but I'm not. I'm a scientist, I'm an engineer, and the real thing, if you see how we adopt things very quickly when there's a big change, when you see what they call a 10x improvement in cost. So when we used to have the mobile phone, we used to have the landline to the mobile phone, that was a huge improvement, and that changed our lives. And electric vehicles are not just an iteration from going from petrol to diesel, they're a completely different way of transporting ourselves, because it's not only about how we get there, and it's obviously cheaper because electric vehicles have less maintenance. They've only got 20 moving parts as opposed to 2,000, but they've also got they're much cheaper overall. So you can probably get about 10x saving if you go and start looking at artificial intelligence and how it's going to power ourselves. So the guys that are really forecasting what will happen is that we really won't own a car, but we'll have you'll just basically like an Uber type, what they call transport as a service. So that your car will come and pick you up, and you can order whatever car you want. And you still have a petrol car to move around, and you might have your sports car to do what you enjoy driving a sports car for. But ultimately, it will change the same way that, I don't suppose, a computer changed our environment. And electric vehicles, and therefore lithium and other elements like nickel and cobalt, will be critical to that change, that revolution.
And you mentioned this, that I think it's 7 times more lithium we will use in the future. Lithium is really key then.
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting. So I was at this cathode conference, and at the cathode conference, I was really interested to see if there was a real replacement technology out there. And lithium, because of where it sits on the elemental table, it's the lightest mineral, and it's got the highest energy density. It's light and has the most energy density. So there is no real replacement for the next 20 years for the current lithium-ion battery. And even then, it's probably what they call a lithium air battery or a lithium sulfur battery. So that will some of them would actually consume more lithium. We're only talking about 40 to 50 years when we start seeing things like magnesium on aluminium batteries. So it's a very important critical element to supplying that. Moreover, what's happened as progress has come along, lithium air batteries have dropped from, say, $1,000 a kilowatt hour to where they're going to probably sit now at about $150, in the next 2 years, $100 a kilowatt hour. When they sit at $100 a kilowatt hour, it means that it's a parity to buying your petrol car. So the next car I will buy will definitely be an electric vehicle, and I'm also talking to my kids about it. I just go, I've got a 7-year-old and a 13-year-old. I'm telling my 7-year-old, you probably won't need to know how to drive. My 13-year-old, you may do, but I don't believe there'll be a requirement to learn to drive, because we'll effectively be transported by transport as a service, and electric vehicles will dominate.
It's very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Just finally, before I let you go, why should people then, you have touched on all of this, but I mean, why should people invest in your company rather than another one here?
Well, at the moment, Cadence represents one of the only UK-listed companies that's got itself across a couple of lithium companies. And what we've done is we've proven that our decision making in investing in those companies is fruitful. So we've got about an average return about 100% so far. Now, over those 3 years, we've learnt and got a Rolodex of contacts of how you should develop a lithium company. So our long-term plan is to actually invest at a control level and effectively run a company that will develop a lithium asset. So we're going to change from an investment company to eventually an operating company, and we're reviewing several investments over the next couple of months, and would hopefully, if they're successful, they pass our high standards, we'll go forward with those.
There you go, you heard it here, Cadence Minerals, thank you very much for being here tonight. Thank you.